Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Speaking assertively requires a certain mindset. You cannot wake up one morning and suddenly begin to speak assertively. It takes awareness, practice, and a lot of patience. Developing an assertive mindset involves not only improving your communication skills, but also changing the way you think, feel, and perceive situations. You need to have the maturity to understand people and how they decode your communication. You might have heard elders often say, put yourself in the other person's shoe. This advice is at the heart of assertive communication. It is not only about knowing what you want to say, but also about understanding how the other person might interpret what you say. When you begin to do this, you automatically start understanding others better. You become aware of both sides of a conversation. An assertive mind is not a judgmental mind, it is a solution focused mind. It looks for ways to fix situations instead of creating new problems. Here's an example. At a party one evening, the food got over earlier than expected. Emma walked up to Ryan, visibly upset, and started complaining angrily about the caterers. She said they were careless, irresponsible, and had poor judgment. Ryan, however, remained calm. Instead of getting into the blame game, he quickly made a few calls and arranged for extra food to be delivered for the remaining guests. While Emma was busy complaining, Ryan was busy solving the problem. Emma's reaction came from frustration, but Ryan's response came from focus. This small example shows the difference between reaction and a response. Problems are a natural part of life. No matter where you go, they will follow. But what truly defines you is how you handle them. When you are faced with a challenge, ask yourself, do you react first or do you pause and respond? Reaction comes from emotion. They could be an emotional outburst where you start crying, or a burst of anger where you start shouting. Sometimes the reaction is silence, where you stop talking to everyone and withdraw completely. But a response is different. A response comes from reflection. It means taking a step back, observing the situation, and then deciding what to say or do. If you can pause before reacting, you can save yourself from saying things that create regret later. It also helps you solve problems faster because your mind is not clouded with emotions. This is what makes an assertive mind strong. It focuses on solutions, not problems. Here's another example. Arjun often complained that Kia never replied to his messages quickly. She did not return his calls, and he was always the one initiating conversations. When Arjun expressed this, Kia could have easily reacted by saying, "You are overreacting," or "You always find faults." But instead, she took a step back and listened carefully. She realized that Arjun was not trying to argue. He was just feeling ignored and wanted her attention. So instead of fighting back, Kia gently said, "I understand how you feel. I am sorry I have been busy lately, but I missed you too." This small assurance made Arjun feel valued and that could have become a fight turned into a warm moment of understanding. We often fight back because we feel the need to defend ourselves. But the truth is, not every situation needs defending. Sometimes all you need is understanding. When you become a solution focused person, you automatically move away from negativity. You stop over analyzing problems and start taking constructive actions. You make faster decisions, handle pressure calmly, and resolve issues effectively. That is the real power of assertive mindset. An assertive mindset is patient. If you want to be assertive, you must first be patient. Patient with yourself and patient with others. Being patient with yourself means giving yourself time to understand things, reflect on what is happening, and choosing your battles wisely. Being patient with others means listening to them fully, not reacting but understanding. Your patience is reflected in your personality, your body language, and your words. It becomes visible in the way you carry yourself, the calm energy you bring to the room. Krishna had just lost a football tournament. He was extremely upset. When he came home, he took out all his anger on his little sister, shouting and blaming her for small things. His sister, feeling hurt, ran to her mother and complained. Their mother quickly understood that Krishna's anger was not really about his sister. It came from disappointment. Instead of lecturing him about taking control of his temper, she quietly cooked his favorite meal and called him for dinner. Once he had eaten and calmed down, she gently spoke to him about how to handle failure and not take out the anger on others. Her patience created peace in the house. Krishna realized his mistake and apologized to his sister. That could have become a loud and unpleasant morning turned into a loving and calm one. Patience allows you to listen beyond words. It helps you understand what people are truly feeling, even when they are not saying it directly. It teaches you to observe emotions, expressions, and body language. When you are patient with yourself, you learn not to get angry too quickly, not to take things personally, and hold grudges. You become capable of forgiving, understanding, and speaking from a place of calmness instead of chaos. That is what makes your words powerful and effective. The power of silence. Assertiveness also requires you to understand the power of silence. Now, silence here does not mean ignoring people or giving them the silent treatment. That kind of silence is not assertiveness, it is avoidance. It comes from hurt, not from strength. Many people use silence to punish others. They stop talking, stop explaining, and stay quiet for long periods. Not to calm down, but to plan their next big reaction. This kind of silence slowly builds distance and resentment. Long periods of such silence can destroy even the strongest relationships. True silence is different. It is mindful. It gives you space to think clearly, to calm your mind, and respond wisely. Silence allows you to gather your thoughts before speaking so that your words carry meaning and not emotions. Here's an example. Asha and her colleague had a disagreement in a team meeting. she felt insulted and wanted to reply immediately. But instead, she paused and stayed silent. She took the rest of the day to think it over. The next morning, when they met, she said calmly, I felt uncomfortable with what happened yesterday. I would like us to discuss it and clear the misunderstanding. Her silence was not avoidance, it was control. By waiting a few hours before responding, she avoided an argument and created space for a constructive discussion. Silence can be a few seconds of pause during a heated talk, or it can be a few hours of space after an emotional situation. Both are equally important. A pause helps you regain composure in the middle of a conversation, and a 24 hours gap helps you cool down before taking another big decision. Learning to use silence wisely is one of the most powerful signs of emotional maturity. It is not weakness, it is discipline. It teaches you to manage your emotions, maintain dignity, and handle situations peacefully. Here's another example. Rahul and his friend had a big argument about a business decision. Words were exchanged and tempers ran high. Rahul's instinct was to send a long message defending his point, but he decided to wait for a day. The next morning, he called his friend, apologized for the heated words, and they discussed the matter calmly. The pause of one day helped both of them reflect and save their partnership. An assertive mindset is built on three strong pillars: being solution focused, having patience, and understanding the power of silence. When you learn to combine these, you gain control over your emotions and clarity in your communication. You become someone who responds more than reacts. You listen, understand, and then speak. Your words become meaningful because they come from a calm and confident mind. So now that you have developed an assertive mindset that is thoughtful, patient, and peaceful, you are ready to learn to use it in real conversations. Let us now explore how assertive communication actually works in daily life. Let me start with a few sentences and see if you can understand what I'm trying to do with them. I hope I do not get traffic today versus I hope I get clear roads today. Do not come late versus please be on time. I cannot tolerate romantic movies versus I really enjoy action thrillers. Did you notice what I am doing here? I am turning these sentences around and removing all the unnecessary negative words like don't and can't. I am replacing them with exactly what I want instead of what I do not want. We spend so much time of our lives telling people all the things we dislike or want them to avoid. Parents spend years telling their children what not to do. Don't touch this, don't go there, don't waste time, don't use your phone so much. But how often do we tell them what we actually want them to do? I once met a set of parents who were complaining about their children being on their phone all the time. So I asked them, what would you like your child to do instead? They looked at each other and said, maybe read, pick up a hobby, or study. But none of these things sounded as exciting as the phone. And that is where the problem lies. When you keep telling someone what not to do, you leave their minds empty of direction. But when you tell them what to do, you give them focus and purpose. It is like saying, don't go left, but if you do not tell them to go right, they will still be confused. Clear communication means replacing don't with what you actually want to happen. I was once extremely busy with a lot of work given to me by my supervisor. Another colleague came to my desk and asked if I could help her with something. At that moment, I could have simply said, "No, I'm busy." But that would have sounded defensive and unpleasant. It carried a negative tone and lacked warmth. Instead, I said, "I would love to help you, but I need to finish the work my supervisor has given to me first. Once I'm done, I will be happy to assist." Can you feel the difference? The message was the same. I could not help right away, but the way I said it was positive and respectful. I did not make her feel rejected. I did not create any guilt or discomfort for myself. Often we forget that tone matters as much as words. If I had assumed she was careless or always seeking help, I might have spoken harshly. But because I chose positivity, I kept both my peace of mind and my relationship intact. Let me give you another situation and show you how rephrasing from negative to positive can completely change the outcome. A manager once had a team that was constantly arriving late for meetings. Every morning she would begin by saying, "Why is everyone always late? Don't you have respect for time?" This made her team defensive, and they started giving excuses. Others quietly switched off from the discussion. One day she decided to try a different approach. Instead of scolding, she began the meeting with, "I really appreciate when you all start our meeting on time, because it really helps us finish early and plan better." The result was immediate. The team started arriving earlier because they felt appreciated rather than criticized. The words were simple, but the mindset had changed from blame to encouragement. This is the magic of assertive communication. When you replace negative framing with positive direction, you inspire cooperation instead of resistance. Where you shift energy. Our words carry energy. Negative words like don't, can't, and shouldn't close the mind. Positive words like can, will, and prefer open it. The way you frame your sentences decides the response you receive. When you say don't shout, the listener still focuses on the word shout. But when you say let's talk calmly, you lead the conversation towards peace. When you say don't forget, the mind still hears forget. But when you say please remember, the focus changes completely. Even in your self-talk, that makes a huge difference. Instead of saying I should stop being nervous, say I am learning to stay calm. Instead of saying I can't do this, try I will try my best. The brain responds better to positive instructions. Let us look at a few more examples that will help you understand the true essence of assertive communication. These are everyday situations where your words can either create understanding or cause conflict, depending on how you say them. Saying no politely. Passive would be, okay, I will try to manage it somehow. Aggressive would be, no, I already have too much work. Don't ask me again. But assertive would be, I would love to help, but I already have commitments today. Let's plan it for another time. When you say no assertively, you're not rejecting the person, you're simply prioritizing your time. It shows that you respect both your limits and their respect. This balance is what makes assertive communication so powerful. Expressing disagreement. Passive would be, it's fine, you're right, I guess. Aggressive would be, that's completely wrong. I don't know what you're talking about. Assertive would be, I understand your point, but I see it a little differently. Would you like to hear my perspective? Notice the shift here. When you ask permission before sharing your point, you are inviting the other person into a dialogue rather than an agreement. It builds openness. But sometimes, even after asking politely, the other person interrupts you. In that case, assertiveness helps you hold your ground without sounding rude. For example, passive would be, it's okay, go ahead. Aggressive would be, can you stop cutting me off? And assertive would be, I would really like to finish what I'm saying. And then I'll hear your point. This simple sentence keeps the conversation respectful and prevents the situation from becoming defensive or uncomfortable. You are not controlling the person, you are managing the moment with clarity and calm. What about expressing feelings? Passive would be, it doesn't matter what I think. Aggressive would be, you never listen to me. Assertive would be, I feel unheard when I'm interrupted. Can I please finish my point first? When you use I feel statements, you take responsibility for your emotions. It helps the other person understand how their actions affect you without making them feel attacked. Assertiveness teaches you to express feelings as facts, not accusations. You're not blaming anyone, you're simply explaining how a situation made you feel. Receiving feedback. Passive would be, oh, I'm sorry, I'll stop doing that. Aggressive would be, you're always finding faults in my work. And assertive would be, thank you for your feedback. Could you tell me specifically which part I should focus on improving? Here, instead of defending yourself and feeling guilty, you're asking for clarity. This shows maturity and willingness to grow. People who can receive feedback with calm and confidence earn respect from everyone around them. Asking for help. Passive would be, never mind, I'll just do it myself. Aggressive would be, can't you see I need help? Assertive would be, I could use some help with this task. Would you be available for a few minutes? Many people find it hard to ask for help because they fear being judged. But assertive communication reminds us that asking for help does not make you weak, it makes you efficient. It builds teamwork and trust when done in the right way. Giving feedback. Passive would be, it's fine, don't worry about it. Aggressive would be, you messed this up completely. Assertive would be, I noticed a few areas where you could improve. Let's fix them together before the final submission. When you give feedback assertively, you focus on the action, not the person. You do not say, you are careless. You say, this part can be improved. The message is the same, but the emotion behind it changes everything. Setting boundaries with respect. A colleague often messaged me after working hours for non urgent things. Passive would be, it's fine, I'll just reply. Aggressive would be, stop disturbing me after office hours. Assertive would be, I saw your message. I usually disconnect after work, but I'll check this tomorrow morning first thing. This is a very common workplace situation. You're not ignoring the person, but you're also not allowing them to cross your personal time. The statement is polite, clear, and sets a healthy boundary. Assertive communication begins in your mind, in the way you think before the words make their way when you speak. It is not about being nice all the time or avoiding confrontation. It is about being clear, calm, and constructive. When you replace negative words with positive direction, you give people a map instead of a wall. You help them understand you better and build mutual respect. A simple sentence like, please be on time, creates more cooperation than don't be late. Both say the same thing, but one carries warmth and clarity while the other sounds controlling. When you speak positively, people listen. When you express your boundaries gently, they accept. When you respond calmly to provocation, you earn quiet power. Assertive people do not need to raise their voice to make an impact. Their tone and clarity are enough to earn attention. Let me share something small but meaningful. In a workshop I once conducted, a participant said, I'm not loud enough to be assertive. I told her, assertiveness is not about volume, it's about value. The goal is not to dominate, but to communicate. The moment you learn to do that, you start commanding respect without demanding it. So, the next time you wish to express yourself, pause for a moment and listen to your own words. Are they filled with what you do not want? Or are they guiding others towards what you want? Each of these examples show how you can express your thoughts fully and clearly by cutting out unnecessary emotions. You can be kind yet firm. You can be polite yet powerful. The shift from negative to positive language may look small, but its effect is lifelong. Assertiveness is not a trick or tactic. It's a reflection of emotional maturity. It allows you to say what you mean and mean what you say, with respect, balance, and grace. Emotions often cloud communication skills. You will agree that whenever you have been emotional, you may have ended up saying something you should not have, or you might have stayed silent when you actually needed to speak up. Conversations filled with too much emotions rarely serve their true purpose. Maturity lies in knowing when to express emotions and when to stay practical. Your professional journey will demand more practicality than emotions. You will have to grow emotionally while you grow professionally. Emotional maturity does not mean being cold and indifferent. It simply means being aware of what to express, when to express, and how to express. Even in your personal space, others may have limited patience for emotions. It is not because they do not care, but because they have their own emotional struggles. Everyone is fighting their own battles while also trying to make room for others. That is why it is unfair to expect constant understanding from people around you. Those who learn to handle their emotions gracefully and maturely often become strong support system for others. Their conversations are practical. easy to understand, and solution focused. People who speak from a place of constant emotions, on the other hand, make conversations heavy and complicated. Their words sound more like complaints than communication. Such people are often misunderstood, not because they are wrong, but because their emotions take up too much space in the discussion. In your personal life, those who truly love and care for you may have the patience to handle your emotions. But in your professional life, people who pay you for your skills and talents will expect control, not chaos. When you join a job, your emotions have limited space. Irrespective how people feel on a given day, you must know how to communicate clearly and professionally if you wish to avoid conflicts and receive recognition for your efforts. Emotional drama is always better suited for television. In real life, if something disturbs you, the best approach is to communicate clearly. Expecting others to constantly read your mind is unrealistic. Every person is busy with their own responsibilities, chasing their own goals. Those who are close to you might try to decode you for a while, but if you remain too complicated to understand, even they will eventually move on. Assertive communication is rooted in practicality, not in emotional drama. When you feel hurt or disrespected and express it through complaints or long emotional messages, people may listen but not act. However, when you communicate your feelings through calm, direct, and constructive feedback, people pay attention. For example, "You never listen to me" sounds emotional and accusing. But saying, "I feel unheard when I speak. Could we discuss it calmly?" sounds assertive and inviting understanding. One is drama and the other is dialogue. You can communicate anger, frustration, sadness, or happiness all without drama. When you improve unnecessary emotions and focus on clarity, people understand not just how you feel, but also what needs to be done about it. Many times we use long explanations, long messages, and even longer silence to make a point. But you must remember that everything you are trying to express in 10 paragraphs can usually be said in 2 lines if you are clear in your head. Long emotional messages may feel satisfying to send, but they often overwhelm and confuse the receiver. Similarly, when you decide to stay silent, expecting others to figure out what went wrong, you are only increasing distance. It is easier for people to respond to a few honest words than your silence. Silence, when used wisely, can calm situations, but silence used as punishment can destroy communication. Here's an example. Ria had a disagreement with her friend Neha. Instead of saying, "You always make me feel like I don't matter," Ria paused and said, "I felt hurt when you didn't include me in your plan. Next time, can we plan it together?" This small shift in tone completely changed how Neha received the message. The discussion stayed light and they cleared the misunderstanding within minutes. This is what assertive communication looks like: clear, respectful, and free from unnecessary emotions. When you cut out drama, your words become clearer, concise, and purposeful. This clarity gives direction and helps others feel comfortable enough to listen and correct themselves. But what happens when drama comes from the outside? You cannot control how others communicate, but you can always control how you respond. You can choose to react, respond, or ignore. A reaction is immediate and emotional. A response is thoughtful and calm. Ignoring, when done consciously, is not weakness, it is wisdom. During a meeting, Raj's teammate made a sarcastic comment about his presentation. Raj could have reacted and snapped back with equal sarcasm. Instead, he smiled and said, "If you have suggestions to make this better, I'd be happy to hear them after the meeting." The teammate went silent and the meeting continued smoothly. Raj's calm and composed reaction not only saved the atmosphere of the room, but also made him look confident and in control. There will always be people who bring drama to your life. If you stop and react to every incident, you will drain your energy. Just like you cannot watch every television serial and still get work done, you cannot engage with every emotional outburst that comes your way. Some situations require correction because they affect your peace directly, while others can simply be ignored. However, when you choose to ignore something, remember that the other person's drama may grow louder before it fades. Handle it with balance. Ignore only what you are strong enough to face again later if needed. For example, Priya had a colleague who often tried to provoke her with sharp comments. Initially, she reacted each time and it led to stress. Later, she decided to stay polite but distant. Whenever the colleague made a remark, Priya would simply say, "I appreciate your inputs," and move on. Over time, the comments reduced because Priya's calm response gave no fuel to the drama. Learning to cut short emotional drama does not mean you stop feeling. It means you start expressing your emotions with intelligence. Assertive communication gives you that control. It helps you keep your dignity while still saying what needs to be said. So, next time you face a situation filled with emotion, pause for a second and ask yourself, am I reacting or am I responding? The answer to that question will decide whether you are adding to the drama or cutting it short. Being practical is much easier to say than actually do. It requires balance, awareness, and emotional control. Being practical means having an aerial view of things. You look at situations from above, not just from your personal angle. You understand what can be done and what cannot. You are aware of people's abilities, their limitations, and your own too. Practicality also means keeping your emotions in check. You know which expectations are legitimate and which ones are unrealistic. You can tell who can meet those expectations and who cannot. This awareness allows you to see things from a wider, more balanced perspective, one that works for both you and the other. It is often said that men are more practical than women. This may have come from traditional roles where women were seen mainly as caregivers and men as providers. Taking care of children naturally involves emotions, while traditional professional roles often required logic and structure. But in today's world, both men and women share roles. Both nurture, both work, and both face emotional as well as practical challenges. So it is not about gender anymore. Both men and women can be emotional and practical depending on the situation. If you find yourself struggling to be practical, it often has little to do with your nature and more to do with your need for control. When you want things to go a certain way and they do not, emotions take over. The truth is, how you want things to be is your own personal view. Others may have a different understanding of what is right or fair. Professionalism means accepting that things will not always go your way. You may not always have the final say or control. Assertiveness means knowing when to express your opinions and when to accept other perspectives gracefully. Some days things will happen your way, other days they will not. When you realize early that something does not suit you, you can modify it before it grows into frustration. This awareness naturally leads to the next important aspect of assertiveness, and that is timing. Assertiveness is not only about what you say, it is also about when you say it. Knowing the right time to communicate is a crucial skill. Many people tolerate bad behavior, unhealthy comments, and even negative gestures until they reach a point where they cannot handle it anymore. By that time, emotions are already built up, and whatever they say next comes out in anger or pain instead of calm and confidence. When you hold back your emotions for too long, you do not just suppress emotions, you give space for resentment to grow. Saying something at the right time is not just about courage, it is also about maturity. When you speak up early, you keep control over the situation. When you delay, you lose that control. Sonia's boss often touched her arm while talking to her. At first, she ignored it out of respect. Gradually, it became a habit for him. Light touches on the shoulder, unnecessary comments, and personal messages. Sonia felt uncomfortable but said nothing. She thought avoiding him or staying silent would make him stop. But silence was misunderstood. Her boss began to assume that she did not mind his behavior. Months later, when the behavior became unbearable, Sonia quit her job in anger and frustration without another job in hand. Now ask yourself, was this the right way to handling it? Running away from the situation rarely solves the problem. If Sonia left, someone else in the office would have gone through the same thing. What could have been done differently? Sonia could have acted assertively at the very beginning. On the first instance, she could have politely but firmly said, "Sir, I am not comfortable with physical contact. I would appreciate if we can maintain a professional space." Or, if she wanted to avoid public confrontation, she could have chosen a more private moment to talk and said, "Sir, I respect you and enjoy working with you. But some of your gestures make me uncomfortable. I am sure that you're not of the intention, but I wanted to bring it to your attention." Her tone could be calm, her words respectful, and her body language confident. Assertiveness is not aggression. It is communication with clarity and calm. Would her boss have been upset? Possibly yes. But would it have been the right thing to do? Definitely. By speaking up clearly, she would have protected her dignity and perhaps corrected his behavior too. If he was mature, he would stop. If not, she could then know it was time to take stronger actions or move on without guilt. Being assertive is not about being fearless, it is about being ready. Before you speak up for yourself, if things go wrong, can you handle what follows? Most of the time, assertiveness brings positive results. But even when it does not, it gives you inner peace because you stood up for what was right. Here's another example. Rahul, a team lead, noticed that one of his colleagues, Nisha, often arrived late for meetings. At first, he ignored it. He assumed she must be busy. After a few weeks, he began to feel irritated. One morning, after she arrived late again, he snapped and said to her in front of everyone, "You have no respect for time." Nisha felt insulted and stopped speaking much in meetings after that. Rahul later realized that his reaction came too late and too harsh. Had he spoken earlier, privately, and calmly, things could have been different. A simple statement like, "Nisha, I noticed you have been running late to meetings. Is there something I should know? Let's try to be on time so we can all move together." Would that have solved the problem? This example shows how timing and tone can make all the difference. Addressing a situation early and privately prevents drama later. There are also times when assertiveness is needed for maintaining professionalism. For instance, imagine Meera, a project manager who constantly received vague instructions from her client, but was always blamed when the tasks were misunderstood. At first, she quietly accepted it and took the blame to maintain the relationship. But eventually, she began to feel drained. One day, she decided to be more direct. In her next meeting, she said, "To make sure we deliver exactly what you expect, could we please document your requirements in writing? That will help us avoid confusions later." The client agreed, and their workflow improved immediately. Meera did not complain or defend herself. She simply provided a solution at the right time and in the right way. This is the power of assertive practicality. Saying what needs to be said without sounding emotional or defensive. Communication done at the right time and in the shortest possible way gives the best results. When emotions are kept aside, your words carry more weight. People listen better because you sound composed and objective. Being practical and assertive does not mean you become emotionless. It means you balance emotions with wisdom. You speak from empathy but stand firm on your values. You understand that timing and tone are your biggest tools. When you cut out emotional drama and bring clarity to your words, you earn respect. People learn that you can be trusted to handle sensitive matters and maturity. And you, in return, gain confidence knowing that you can face uncomfortable situations calmly. Being practical is not the absence of emotions, it is the presence of understanding. It means you see things as they are, not as you want them to be. Assertiveness helps you express this understanding with clarity, confidence, and courage. So, the next time you are faced with a situation where you must speak up, pause and think. Is it the right time, the right place, and the right tone? If your answers are yes, go ahead, speak. Your words will carry more power than you can imagine. Non-verbal backup. Before we discuss more examples on how sentences can be turned around to sound assertive, it is very important to understand one key point. Everything that you say assertively must be supported by the correct body language. If what you say and what you show are two different things, people will not take you seriously. Assertiveness is not just about words, It's about your entire presence. Your posture, facial expressions, gesture, and even the tone of your voice forms the foundation on which your words stand. Let me give you a simple situation. You tell someone that you are unable to help them with their work because you are already busy with another project that is high priority. They accept your explanation and move on. But a little later, they see you standing in a group with your friends, laughing and chatting a long time. Now, what will they think? They will start believing that you were not genuinely busy, but you simply did not want to help. See what happened? Your body language and behavior did not support your words. The credibility you built through assertive statements was lost because your actions said something else. Assertiveness means being honest and consistent. When people see a mismatch between what you say and what you do, they stop trusting you. Your words lose power. I am delivering this session to you right now. And this perhaps gives you the impression that I am a professional who knows her subject. You may respect me for that. But imagine, after this session, you visit my social media and see that all my posts are about parties and hangouts and jokes with nothing related to my work or my purpose. Now, there is nothing wrong with enjoying life or posting about happy moments. But when the personal side completely overshadows the professional side, it creates confusion. You respected me for my knowledge, but the image you saw next makes you question my seriousness. This is why assertiveness goes beyond talking confidently. It is also about maintaining consistency in how you present yourself. People form opinions not only by what you say, but also by what they see. It is a mindset. When people see you as confident and assertive, they expect you to be in control of your words, behavior, and overall image. It does not mean you cannot be warm or fun. It only means you must understand when to switch gears between being friendly and being professional. Rinki was always seen giggling and laughing with her friends. She was fun loving, loud, and cheerful. Everyone liked her energy, but they never took her seriously. One day, she was made the leader of a project. This was her chance to show leadership and responsibility. But to her surprise, nothing she said was taken seriously. Her teammates laughed, joked, and ignored her instructions completely. They did whatever they wanted, and Rinki struggled to control the group. When the project fell apart, she felt frustrated. Later, her teacher asked, "What went wrong?" Rinki complained, "They never listen to me, they don't take me seriously." But think about it. Could the group really see a leader in her? Not really. Because they had always known her as this fun, not focused person. The image she had built did not match her new role. Your image must align to your communication style. When there is a mismatch, people get confused. And like I always say, no one has the time to decode confusions or drama because everyone is busy in their own lives. The easier thing for people to do is to ignore you and move on. That is why it is extremely important to first identify what about you needs to change before you change your communication style. We spent a lot of time at the beginning of this module understanding why assertiveness is important and what kind of mindset you need to develop. We did not jump into assertive sentences immediately because your words must connect deeply with your personality. Your communication style is not just about speech, it is about posture, your expressions, your presence, and even your silence. People notice these things before they listen to your words. The way you carry yourself tells them whether they can take you seriously. Even in the case of Sonia, who struggled with her boss's inappropriate behavior, this principle applies. It is not her fault, but it is important to understand what gave him the idea that he could behave that way. Was it something about her body language? Did she come across as confident and self assured, or did she seem timid and hesitant? People with manipulative behavior often sense who can tolerate them and who will not. Assertiveness is not only about what you say, but how you look and sound when you say it. Your tone, volume, and body language communicate strength or weakness long before your words do. If Sonia had maintained confident body language, standing tall, keeping steady eye contact, and using a calm tone, while also communicating her boundaries clearly, she would have signaled early that such behavior would not be tolerated. This is why verbal communication and nonverbal communication must always move together. Your words say what you think, and your body shows what you believe. Here's an example. Arjun had an important client presentation. He had worked hard and knew his content well. But during the presentation, he spoke softly, avoided eye contact, and kept his arms crossed. Even though his words were strong, his body language looked unsure. The client lost interest quickly. After the meeting, his manager said, "Your points were excellent, but your body language made you look inconfident." This example shows that communication is never just about words. The best content can fail if the body does not support it. Standing tall, speaking with clarity, and maintaining eye contact make messages believable. Assertiveness is an energy that you carry, not a sentence that you speak. Your tone, your expression, your eye contact, and even your small gestures define how others see you. If your voice is shaky while saying, "I can handle this," people will doubt you. But if your voice is steady and calm, the same words sound powerful. If your face looks nervous while saying, "I am confident," your words will not convince anyone. But if your face is composed and your body posture is straight, even silence can command respect. So, before you try to change your words, work on how you carry yourself. How do you understand? How do you look when you enter a room? How do you listen when others speak? All this is a part of assertive presence. Every message you send to the world through words, tone, expression, and actions add up to your image. Once the image is formed, it becomes difficult to change. This is why you must be conscious of what you are projecting. Assertiveness is not only about confidence in speech, it is also about stability in image. People who look scattered or inconsistent are rarely trusted as leaders. This does not mean you must pretend. You do not need to fake confidence or seriousness. All you need to do is align who you are inside with who you show outside. Authenticity and consistency are the foundation of a strong personality. When your inner clarity matches your outer presence, you naturally come across as assertive. You must attend the nonverbal communication and body language modules very attentively if you truly want to build an assertive personality. Not only because you want to speak well, but because you want an overall growth. The way you walk, sit, look at people, listen to them, and respond. All of this contributes to your personal brand. You might not be able to change everything instantly, but that is perfectly fine. Like I always say, awareness is the first step to change. Once you become aware, transformation begins naturally. Start by improving one element at a time. Work on your tone this week. Next week, focus on posture. Then work on your expressions, your choice of words, your listening skills. Over time, these small improvements will start reflecting in your personality. You will notice that not only are you able to express yourself better, but people also begin to respond to you with more respect and attention. You will become someone others listen to, trust, and even look up to. Assertiveness then will no longer be something you are trying to do, it will become something you are, visible in your speech, your work, and your presence. I think by now you have got the idea of how to talk assertively. There is a steadiness in the tone, a calmness in posture, and a smile on the face, and an unshakable confidence. As you move from one module to the other, understand them and try to put some things into practice, you will learn or realize that there is very less effort in being assertive. In fact, it is something that comes easily as you start changing your personality. It is more difficult to be passive, and it is even more difficult to be aggressive. I hope this module helps you to become more and more assertive as you start stepping into your professional avatar. I will see you in the next module.